Hello folks! So today I'm going to teach you how to make a square from something that is rectangular. Now in origami, most of the time you need a square to make what it is that you're trying to make for your model. Sometimes you need a rectangle, so make sure you're paying attention to which kind of paper it is that you need. So I'm going to take just a standard piece of computer paper and we're going to turn this into a square. So what you want to do is turn your paper kind of sideways. You're going to take the short side and you're going to line it up along the edge of the long side. And you want to do this just as neatly as you can. Once you get it lined up down here in this bottom corner, come straight from the middle and spread out. When you know for sure you've got it where you want it, press it in place either with your fingernail or a pencil or maybe the edge of your scissors. And then you have a couple of options here as to how to get rid of your extra bit. The first thing you can do is very carefully fold it over. I didn't fold it enough, so I'm going to fold it over some more. Again, this edge should line up also. Okay, so I'm going to fold it over. Some people, before a global pandemic, might have licked this edge. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it's pretty gross. The cool thing about paper is the more you fold it or bend it, the more it's going to weaken the structure of the paper. So I'm going to just fold it back and forth a couple of times. I could always take my scissors and just cut it off, but I've actually found that this is a little more precise if I'm being super careful. Now you could just take some water and dampen the edge of it a little bit, but again, that might mess up your paper a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're not changing the square that we're working so hard to get. So here we are. I folded it back and forth and back and forth. I don't know how many times. I've lost count. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully tear away. Once I've folded it and weakened my paper, I'm going to tear it away. And so now I have a square of paper. Now let me show you. The same thing works with notebook paper. The thing of it is we got all these little boogers over here on the side. Now we can get rid of the perforation, but then we're going to still have the holes. So what you might want to do with this kind of paper is fold it so that it lines right up on that red line. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. It should line up on this. I have mine. I guess this is college ruled. I don't know if the wide rule works the same way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it on this blue line. Make it as neat as I possibly can. Neatness is important in origami. If you've had me in class, you know that neatness is important. It's important for lots of reasons, but the main reason that it's important is it makes origami easier, and we all want origami to be easier. So again, I can fold it back and forth over and over again. If you don't have fingernails, that's perfectly okay. You can use a pencil, you can use a pen, you can use a stick, you can use any number of things. Please don't do this on your mama's dining room table and mess anything up and say, Miss Gamble told me to. That is not the truth. That is not what Miss Gamble said to do. So I'm weakening the fibers of my paper. When I get it weak enough, I'm going to very carefully, going slowly to make sure that I don't mess it up, do this. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my red line. If I wanted to cut it, I could, but some of you may not have scissors. So I'm going to go old school here. We're going to be really hardcore and pretend we have no tools whatsoever because, I mean, it could be that in life. It could be that way. So again, the more I fold it back and forth, if you're finding that yours is not tearing evenly, you probably, like Miss Gamble, have a little bit of a patience problem. My patience was tested. It was negative. And so you probably just want to fold it back and forth a whole lot more, really reinforcing that crease. The more you do that, the more it is weakening the fibers of the paper, which is what we want to do in order to neatly tear it away. And so now we have a square. Then we can also take any of the remnants of what we had before, make a square out of those as well. I do this all the time with the little paper things that come around silverware at restaurants. Remember when we used to go to restaurants and eat out? That was fun, wasn't it? So sometimes I would do this and make tiny origamis to entertain my friends. So you can get more than one square of paper out of a rectangle. However, the smaller the square, the harder the paper can become to manipulate. So just keep that in mind. So I'm getting ready to make my third square of paper. Now again, these are not origami professionally bought, paid for squares, although you can buy some online since we can't go to the Hobby Lobby, although some states are opening up their Hobby Lobbies. But you can create lots of squares this way of different sizes. People all over the world make the most of the resources that they have, and so we want to start doing that as well. So good luck making squares out of rectangles. And again, make sure that if you are doing origami that you need a square and not a rectangle, because sometimes a rectangle is what you need.